going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Lone Wolv Podcast. I'm your host, Wolfson, and today's episode, we got a special guest in the building. That's right. He is well known in the Yu-Gi-Oh community and as well in the YouTube channel. He's known as to be a well-known YugiTuber. That's right. One of the highest YugiTubers that you can find. YugiTuber is basically a YouTuber who actually focuses on his content on Yu-Gi-Oh, which is one of the things that I enjoy very much. Anyways, if you ever want to learn how to play Yu-Gi-Oh or know what's going on in the Yu-Gi-Oh community or in the market, he is definitely one of the YugiTubers that you actually have to go. He is the one and only Alex Cimoooooooo. Now, why is it that I'm interviewing Alex Cimoooooooo? He's a Yu-Gi-Oh player. He's a YugiTuber. What's that got to do with what you're doing, Wolfson? Like, Wolfson, what is it that you're doing? Like, this is not EDM related. This is not music related. This is not even film related. True. But you guys gotta understand something. He is definitely a YouTuber and a well-known YouTuber, of course, in which he had a major success with his hobby for many, many years. And whether you want to accept it or not, the YouTube community is definitely part of the entertainment industry because there's definitely some aspects of entertainment that you go into YouTube. I mean, how many times have you been to one of your favorite YouTube channels and you feel entertained? Like whether it's a podcast, for instance, what I'm trying to do here, or is some funny contents, or some mystery contents, or even music related contents, like even gaming content, like all that stuff can be found in YouTube. And you gotta have to admit, some of these people, they had to start from somewhere in order to reach for their goals for where they are right now, So what better off is to ask somebody who's already there than a YouTuber that's actually has been doing it and has continued to do it because his channel is on a rising success. I see no stop with him and I can't wait for him to reach his million goals. Now, the first part of the episodes, which became a two-part episode. First, we started geeking out. We basically talk about video games and how he was part of a pro player team and what are our thoughts with some of our favorite video games and how we actually grew up with them and how we are mature and how we actually, how we look at them in nowadays, And then the second part is much more of the nitty-gritty part. I definitely went in and asking a couple questions and see the who's and whys and how you get there and what do you got to do and what are the stops, when is it that you get into it, We definitely talk about a little bit about Yu-Gi-Oh, but it was all part of it because that's his thing. And he basically tells you some of the important keynotes about like, what is it that you got to do to start up your own YouTube channel? Or not just any YouTube channel, but anything that you want to do, just go ahead and start it. That's his mentality. And we actually went in depth about all that sort of stuff. It's definitely a geek episodes. Anybody who doesn't want to listen to it, that's fine by me. I don't mind, but you get the sense of where I came from and what he's capable of. I understand that these two episodes are very geek-like and it's not very, Wolfson-like, but I still had to bring out who I am. People need to know who I really am and where I came from and how I'm happy to be proud of doing all this sort of stuff. Now, however, the second episode, it's definitely an episode that you have to listen because it definitely tells you what it takes to be a YouTube channel uprising star. Now, be sure to like and subscribe for your weekly episodes at the Lone Wolv Podcast for SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and of course, the YouTube channel at lonewolfpod.com. That's lonewolfpod.com, where you can check all my latest episodes. Any other episodes that you want to listen, you can always find the audio version at Wolfson Music and any on my social medias, of course, and even on Twitch. Guys, help me spread this out. Help me spread the word of Wolfson, basically, about my podcast. I need you guys to help me out and let me get to the 100 subscribers at YouTube, okay? If we do 100 subscribers on YouTube, I promise you, I'll make a YouTube video explaining how to do all the tutorials of Ableton and sound design and whatnot, You tell me what you want me to do in tutorials, I'll start making one. I promise you. Once we get to the 100 subscribers, I'll kick it right off, okay? So if you guys got anything else that you want me to know, any feedback, share specific experiences or specific topics, topics that you want me to cover, please let me know on the comments down below, and always hit me up at Wolv at any of my social media. Now, without further ado, let's get started. This is the Lone Wolv Podcast. Go! First things first, man. Thanks again for coming in over to my show, man. I appreciate this.
Sure. Absolutely, man.
So obviously we started this already, man. Welcome to the Lone Wolv Podcast, man. Thank you for coming in. Okay, for the listeners who don't know who you are, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Alex Cimoooooooo, or Cimo, as most people might know me as. It's CIMO with 7 extra O's after that. It's always 8 O's. Don't forget it. And I run a Yugioh YouTube channel.
Is there a story why there's a 7 or 8 O's in your Cimo?
Yeah, so it's funny because everyone thinks there's some hidden meaning to the O's, but it's purely down to the fact that when I created the channel, I wanted to be able to have the same name across all social media platforms. And so my last name is unique, and it's something that I've kind of got adorned the nickname just in high school, you know, when you're in physical ed class, when people are calling each other by their last name, but people would always yell my name from across the yard just because it sounded fun. And so pretty much everyone would call me that. My closest groups of friends still call me that to this day. There's very few people who don't call me Cimo, so I've just kind of gotten used to it. So I figured, okay, well, that's a perfect name to go with. That's unique enough. And so I started going on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and all these things, and I just did it with 1 O, and it was taken a bunch of places. Obviously, that's not like it's a somewhat common Italian last name. It's not super common, but it's not like rare or anything. So then I'm like, okay, well, what if I just add O's to accentuate the visual automatopoeia of people yelling Cimo from across, because it's multiple O's, like a comic book, right?
Right.
And so I did 2 O's, and that was taken. And I did 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then finally 8 O's was the least amount of O's required that it worked across all platforms. And I'm like, all right, I'm going with 8 O's.
Wait. So you're telling me that there was more than 1 O already taken with your name on it?
I don't understand it. Most of them, I think 4, 5, 6, and 7 were actually all just on Twitter. And it was just these random accounts that I had 0 followers that had the name. So I was like, well, this is unfortunate. So yeah, but it is what it is. You know, it's become who I am over the years. So I got used to it.
I mean, it actually goes with the whole Yu-Gi-Oh theme. I mean, you know, everybody knows Yu-Gi-Oh with Yu-Gi-Oh!
Right.
Cimo!
Exactly. Precisely.
I mean, if it works, hey, go with it, man. It just symbolized that. I thought, believe it or not, for some reason, I thought you had Cimo because of the Yu-Gi-Oh content related. It's just
no.
Oh.
It's funny, though, that you say that, because I could see why, and other people have said that as well. But primarily, no. It's just purely for just having it all across all the same platforms. And I guess good thing I did that, considering how much the channel's grown. Funny enough, though, on Xbox Live, I am Cimo with 9 O's, because someone took Cimo with 8 O's. I didn't think about this. And I was like, oh, damn, that's annoying. So I decided, okay, well, I'll just do Cimo with 9 O's and no one will question it. But I don't play Xbox that much anymore. But yeah, it's Cimo with 9 O's if you ever happen to randomly see me on anything.
Nice. When was the last time you actually played some Xbox?
Oh, God, dude. It's been... I think the last time I played Xbox was the Modern Warfare beta 2 years ago. I think that was... My Xbox is right here. It is right under this desk. It's plugged in. It works. I just don't ever touch it anymore. I used to play Xbox all the time. That was my life growing up in high school. And I don't know. I've just grown out of it, I guess.
You know, it's very funny that you say that, because I got my Xbox right there in the closet.
Mm-hmm.
And the only games I have from Xbox is just basically Gears and Halo.
I mean, those are 2 of the big ones.
I mean, there's no other games that I got from the Xbox series, unfortunately, but I'm more of a PlayStation guy. I mean, I get all the games from the PlayStation, and I gotta admit, some of the exclusives that PlayStation has are much more far better than Xbox. I mean, Xbox, in my opinion, the only 2 exclusives that I can see it's a big deal that I need to get an Xbox is Halo and Gears.
Sure.
Is there any other that you can think of that I'm actually missing? don't count Fable. Fable's a masterpiece. Don't worry.
Yeah, fair. Nothing else I could really think of. Honestly, one of the biggest reasons why I'm on Team Xbox is because that's pretty much just what I grew up playing with my friends. I think they had Xboxes at first, and so then I just got one because they had one. We played a lot of Halo growing up, and then Call of Duty subsequently after that. Also, one thing that I think, this is obviously subjective, but I much prefer Xbox's controller to PlayStation. I feel like Xbox has a heavier controller and it just fits my hands a lot more comfortably. That's obviously player preference depending on who you ask, and there's obviously like different controller types you can get now, but back in the day, I always liked the feel of the Xbox controller better than a PlayStation controller. It just felt more natural to me. The PlayStation controller, just like I could never comfortably hold it for long periods of time.
That's very interesting that you say that, because as a PlayStation head, when I got the PlayStation 5 and got the controller, it actually feels a whole lot more better than the previous controllers that I had. And it's because they basically took the same design concept as the Xbox, and there was another game system that had the same control. Well, it was Xbox, and I think like the Nintendo. Do you remember when Nintendo Switch has the Nintendo Pro controllers?
Oh, right.
Yeah. So they took some of those concepts and then they made it on the PlayStation. And I mean, let me show you. It's right here.
Yeah, so, I remember seeing when they came out with the PS5 controller. I've never held one, to be honest. I actually don't even know if any of my friends own PS5s. Funny enough, I'd have to ask them. But yeah, I mean, it could be good now. I have no idea. But back in the day, back when it was just PS3 versus Xbox 360. That's what I'm referring to.
Those
not
were
the original.
brutal.
The original Xbox controller was way too bulky. That thing was a disaster.
Did you know that I actually prefer all the original Xbox over the 360?
Interesting.
And the reason why I say that is because I feel like the original Xbox had a very superior processor and have better game variety than the 360 had. And I'm not knocking out 360 out. It's just that for me to consider a good game console is that if you don't fuck up, like nothing's wrong with it. And the 360, I had to return the 360 to Microsoft like 4 times because of the red ring of death.
Oh, really? I had mine, I think, red ring only once. And then I got a new one that was fixed where it couldn't red ring because I had one of the newer models.
Right.
I will say, if we're going to be going down this console war route, because it seems like that's where we're going, Xbox Live had the better online service. Like, without a doubt. Like, PSN may be better now, but back in the day, 360 or Xbox Live was way better than PSN. I'm sorry. That wasn't even close. Connectivity-wise, Xbox had the better service online.
The reason I say PSN back then, I know it's not as good as it is right now, but back then, the only thing I knew about the PSN when the PlayStation 3 arrived, it was just free to play online. Like, I didn't have the subscription as Xbox did. Like, it's in order for you to play it live, you need to get the Xbox Live and then you can play online. So the PlayStation 3 didn't have that concept. It was probably a little bit later on down the road to the PlayStation 4.
Right.
When they decided to do that subscription base as well. But hey, I always go with the free stuff, I don't know about you.
Of course. I think it was just it was an incident though, if you get what you pay for, right? Because I felt like because you were paying for the online service, they didn't care about it as much. And so I just know when I would play online games with my friends who did have PS3s and everything, it was terrible. It was almost unplayable. So, I mean, again, personal opinion,
right.
I think in terms of the controller and connectivity and Halo, I think those are like the 3 things Xbox has over PlayStation. I used to be super into like console wars and everything like that, but as I've matured and gotten older, I am much more equal in terms of having my feet in both camps, because both offer a lot in terms of what they do best, and obviously have their own shortcomings as well.
I mean, I sometimes get into the console wars, and then sometimes I forget. It's like, oh, wait a minute. I got both systems. What the fuck am I complaining?
That's like the thing, right? If you have both, especially because most people back in the day, like you have to think back in like the 90s or maybe like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
A lot of people, their one console might have been like all they could afford, right? So they pretty much had to enjoy it because maybe they got it as a Christmas gift or something. And like that was what they just grew up playing. But I think as gaming matured and it became more mainstream, people started acquiring multiple consoles. People were able to have a 360, a PS3, and a Wii, and you could just play all and enjoy everything. You didn't have to choose at that point. And obviously, that is still a minority of people because most people only had a single console. But I think that's what kind of drives the tribalism, is that if you got one and that was what you were stuck with, well, you just kind of had to like it because otherwise you were kind of stuck.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't look at it at that perspective. I just thought it. Like I was all about the games. Like, oh, this game was in this console. Shit, I gotta get this console.
Right.
Like I can't play Super Mario 64 on a PlayStation 1.
Right.
So I was all about the games. Give me the games. It looks cool. I want to play it. Oh my god, my friends has it. I need to have it. So that's where I go the consoles. And then from then on, I was like, all right, 1 year I got the PlayStation. Next year I got the Xbox. Next year I got the whatever Nintendo always throws around. Like it's the DS, out of the Nintendos, I can tell you, I think I only got the 3 consoles: the 64, the Switch, and the Wii.
Interesting.
Because I had Game Boys all around because of Pokemon.
Of course, Pokemon was like the reason to have a Game Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that I had the Game Boy Color, I remember, out of the gates. That was nice.
Which color you had? It was just like the purple one?
I had the purple one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I had the purple. I had the purple one that was like the purple translucent one, though. Yeah. It wasn't like the solid purple.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Right. And then I didn't get an advanced. I went straight to the SP, which I actually liked the SP a lot better anyway, just because it was backlit and I liked how portable it was because you could just flip it and it was super compact and it fit in your pocket pretty easily. That was kind of neat. And then I'm pretty sure at some point I upgraded to a DS. And so, those are some of my first consoles because actually, funny enough, my first ever game console was a Sega Genesis 3 of all things. Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a console after that until the GameCube. I think the year the GameCube came out. So I missed the N64. I missed the PlayStation 1. I missed everything in between. And it was really funny because I guess my parents say that when I was little, people would be talking about video games and like N64, PS1 stuff. And I would just inject myself into the conversation and just be like, oh yeah, on my Sega Genesis 3, I was like, thinking I was like hot shit just having this console, not realizing that there was other newer consoles that existed. What was the Sega one then? The Saturn at that point was out?
Yeah, the Saturn.
Yeah. So I was just like, I thought I was hot shit. I'm just like, oh yeah, my Sega Genesis 3. And my parents were just like face palming. So, and then I finally got the GameCube. I actually have like a very fond memory of the GameCube because I think it was for Christmas. And I believe I was, God, how old was I? Maybe like 10 or 11 years old, maybe 12. I don't remember, but I remember which house I was in. But I remember just going down the stairs on Christmas morning and it was just in this you have the backlit ambient light of the Christmas tree. And there was one of the bags was there and had the tissue paper and like you could see the GameCube logo like sitting just like right on top. And I remember it was just like, oh my God. So that was fun. And then, oh man, there was I'm pretty sure it came with Mario Kart Double Dash, which Double Dash is a fantastic game. Great game. I really wish they would bring back the Double Dash mechanic. That was really cool. So there was that. I don't remember what other games I got initially, but Metroid Prime, I remember. Metroid Prime, that is probably my top 3 games of all time. Metroid Prime is like a masterpiece of a game. It is so great.
I know for sure, like my cousin, every time I went to his place, like he had the GameCube and he's always playing Metroid Prime, like nonstop on the GameCube. It's either that one or if we play together, then it's Super Smash Melee.
Yep. Melee.
And Sunshine, but I didn't get into Sunshine, Super Mario Sunshine.
I wasn't really into Sunshine either. Weird thing is, I'm not really into like the Mario games all that much. Paper Mario, I'll mess with Paper Mario. That game's awesome.
Really?
But yeah, like the OG Mario games like Sunshine and all I'm just not really a fan of them. I was always a Sonic person, I think, from the Genesis. So I think that's why I just love that Sonic's games are just like way faster paced. So I think I just really gravitated more towards that. Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 battle on GameCube. Oh my God. Those
Talk about
games.
it. Let's go.
I would spend countless hours trying to just 100% both of those games. Oh my God.
You know what? I love that Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 from the Sega Dreamcast. When I had the Dreamcast.
Right. Because they were first on the Dreamcast and then they ported them. Yeah. And they added more content. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. I got mad because I didn't have the PlayStation. I didn't have the GameCube. And when I saw that they added more the director's cut for the first adventure and then the battle on the second, more content to it, I was like, God damn it. Why couldn't they have that from the get-go?
Oh, they got me. I got to buy this now.
No, I didn't fell for that one. Not for that one, at least.
That one.
I said, like, you know what? Let me get the Wii. And I'll get those. And then I got the Wii, and I got those games for $5 each. GameStop.
I think they ported Sonic Adventure 2 onto Xbox, and I remember as soon as that happened, I bought that and just played the hell out of it. That was a great week.
I remember because they did import it to PlayStation 3.
Oh, really?
First one and second one.
Oh, well, I guess that's another check in the Xbox, Cal.
I mean, check one for the PS3 because thank God they had it too.
Yeah.
But I was just super happy when I saw it. I was like, $10? Fuck yeah, let me purchase this shit.
Yeah, that's a great throwback.
Absolutely. And it was the GameCube version, you know, the director's edge cut and the battle. I was like, as soon as I would start playing it, I was just like a little fanboy. Go like, oh yeah. At that time, my ex-girlfriend, she was just like, "What is wrong with you? Why are you playing this? Look at the graphics. It's so bad and bold." It's like, no wonder she's my ex. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Also, the music in Sonic games just like kicks ass. It's so good.
Do you know that I still listen to those songs to this day?
Oh yeah, I will too. Yeah.
The band is called Crush 40.
Okay.
That's how much I know about their music. Like I follow those and then I have them sometimes when I feel like, man, I want to listen to some animation songs or whatnot.
Yeah.
I just put the playlist and then all of a sudden the Sonic Adventure 2 and the 1 and I was just like, yes.
Anyone who's watching this or listening to this, either way, right now, just look up Sonic Adventure 2 Battle soundtrack and listen to any song in there. And those songs just shred. They're so good.
And if your guys are thinking about playing some beer pongs or stuff like that involves with beer and whatnot, I recommend you guys listen to those songs because that shit is gonna hype you up big time.
Oh yeah, for real.
Oh yeah. Damn, bro. Like you actually took me back to memory lane, man. Back in those good old days with Sonic and the GameCubes and the PlayStations. Gee, I remember you mentioned that you were actually a pro gamer back in the day.
I wouldn't call myself a pro gamer, but something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, like my friends and I, this goes back to the whole Halo, Call of Duty-esque era we alluded to earlier. But yeah, my friends and I, we played some semi-competitive, I'll say, like minor league competitive, like tournament level play. And we were just like really good. And it was just an absolute blast. I love, just like how with Yu-Gi-Oh specifically, I love just taking the game down to a science. That's essentially what I exactly would do with those games as well. Right. Because knowing like the exact damage that each weapon does from each range and just knowing all like the little intricate things you can do to just improve your gameplay, that's just what I lived for back then. And it's funny because even prior to doing anything YouTube related, I always wanted to make Call of Duty or Halo YouTube content because there were like just plenty of creators at the time from like, you know, the OG days who would make content like that. Like some of the first people when like when Hapog, you know, was like the go-to brand for capture cards and, you know, the like anyone who knows what I'm talking about will get that. But, you know, it's just a different time, and it's something that I really cherish in my memory because it's so much fun. And even now, if I go back to either of those games, it's like a reunion, right? It's like I've like lived in these spaces in these games for so long that I could probably like draw them blindfolded at this point. It's so mathematical, just being able to dissect every little thing about it, and I just loved it. That's how my brain operates, and so the fact that I got to use it in that way was just a ton of fun. I actually almost went into specifically becoming a video game level designer solely based off of how much like I loved playing those games and understanding the geometry and the spaces of like where multiplayer arenas where people play against each other. And I would actually spend countless hours in Halo's Forge mode when they made it in Halo 3. It was a lot better in Reach because you could snap items together, didn't have to glitch them together like in 3.
Right.
But no, I would just spend hours making different multiplayer maps, and basically my friends would like beta test them. And I remember there was one I made that almost replicated exactly what the dormitory space looked like at my college. And it actually ended up being this map that like a lot of people throughout the school really enjoyed, because it's funny because everyone knew it because it's like where they lived, but it actually ended up making for this very fun and entertaining way to play like Halo multiplayer. That we ended up playing that a lot. That actually kind of like, I wouldn't say it went viral, but it went viral within like the circle of my school. And so that was just being able to like do all that. I just love being able to deep dive stuff like that.
And how long was that you play competitively like that?
Like competitively probably didn't start until, man, that's a tough one.
That long?
I want to say like Modern Warfare 2, Halo 3 days.
Oh, wow.
So maybe 2009-ish. Right. And then we circled back to COD 4 as well, but Modern Warfare 2 was like the new thing at the time. But then we still had the greater appreciation for COD 4, which I still think is the better game. Modern Warfare 2 has like way too many flaws, but it's a fantastic game. It's just the amount of flaws it has really hold it back, I feel like.
Really?
Yeah, so like I think 2009-ish, and then it kind of led into like the Black Ops 2 era. I think that was like our peak, because Black Ops 2 really, Treyarch at the time really wanted to like actually just support competitive like esports at the time, before esports were really as mainstream as they are, by integrating like competitive game modes directly into the game instead of having to go to like game battles and do stuff like that. And at one point in there, we were like in the top like 0.0% of like people in the world at that point, just on that ladder. Obviously, that's like pubs, so that doesn't mean a lot. But it's still something, you know. And yeah, I mean, it was just a lot of fun. I mean, that's really where we felt like we were like at our best. And so yeah, it's just great memories.
What actually stopped you for pursuing that?
It was more so that we were kind of just getting like too competitive, which sounds really stupid, but we were getting like more competitive and kind of starting to like take shots at each other. And we just didn't like how we were, the type of people we were becoming, really, just because it's like it was affecting our friendship more than anything. So we just decided that we just wanted to stop, because we just enjoyed playing the game and enjoyed playing it with each other. And as much as it's fun it is to win, at the same time, we didn't feel that it was worth like ruining our friendship over it. So, you know, we would still just like stomp people all day and night, but we just weren't as serious as we were before. So, I mean, we're still all friends, so clearly that was the better idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best choice, right?
Right.
I mean, wow, bro. You say more or less started when Modern Warfare 2 and like at your peak was Black Ops 2. So you got like a good, what, 5, almost a decade of competitive playing?
Modern Warfare 2, then Black Ops 1, then Modern Warfare 3, then Black Ops 2. So like 4 years, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, because we definitely stopped after Black Ops 2. And that's like about where I started like kind of drifting out of my video game phase more specifically. So yeah, like 4 good years, I would say. And that's like, it started around Modern Warfare 2. I think Modern Warfare 2 is really what sparked it. Well, no, Halo 3 really sparked it for us. And then we already loved Call of Duty 4. Then Modern Warfare 2 came out, and then that just kind of kept fueling it. And so then it just kept going from there, really. Black Ops 1 was also a very big peak time as well. Modern Warfare 3 sucked. We hated that game. That's when we went back to COD 4 and really just started mastering COD 4, because like COD 4 was sort of the baby that we grew up with the whole time. And so that was where we kind of got our bearings. And then Modern Warfare 2 is where we really got to excel. And then we got to take everything that we learned up to Black Ops 1 and then just apply it back to COD 4, which just kind of just reinvigorated my love for it, really. Because I hold COD 4 on the highest pedestal. Like, that game's not perfect by any means, but there is something just so classic about it. And the newer modern versions of these games have just never been able to recapture that for me. Black Ops 2 actually is the closest that any of those games in the franchise have come. I thought Black Ops 2 was going to like take it over, honestly, but it's just not COD 4. I don't know what it is. It's just like COD 4 is my baby.
You know what it is? I feel like COD 4 is basically like what started more online shooting. Like
it did. I mean, it truly revolutionized how modern shooters are. And I mean, most modern like arena shooters are based off of COD 4. Prior to COD 4, you didn't have these RPG elements integrated into the game where you had like an experience bar and challenges and ranking up in this sort of way to almost make it like an RPG as well as a shooter. You had these perks that allowed you to like customize your character and make it like somewhat unique, and you could like min-max the whole system. Whereas Halo, everyone was on equal footing, right? Halo's more about power positions as well as knowing the weapon spawns and different things like that. Where COD took it in a different direction because you felt you had more agency over how you played, because you could have different classes for different scenarios that could allow you to basically navigate different environments. If you feel that, you know, a team is doing one thing, you can switch classes to help adapt to what that other team is doing. You don't really have that in Halo, right? You kind of just had what they gave you to start with. And obviously, even Halo changed because Halo Reach, I believe, was after 3. And that they allowed you in Reach to start having the different powers, like the jetpack and the armor lock and stuff. And you could even change your starting weapon, like DMR or different things like that. So, I mean, even games like Halo took inspiration from, Call of Duty in that way. And so I think it's just because of the legacy that the game left on the shooter franchise. Maybe that's just what it is. I don't know. I mean, or maybe it's just my memories of it as a kid. You know, maybe it's just like ingrained into me, and there's really nothing else I can do about it.
No, you're not far from it. I mean, I will say that Halo, the first Halo game is, I always say that it's the first shooter game that like revolutionized shooter genre all around. Like once Halo got out there, like everybody want to go the same style as Halo, you know? It's like, it's the game, the baby. And then Modern Warfare came, and then it's just another monster that took over. It was like, because everybody loved Halo, but you got to remember, Halo's much more futuristic scene, and everybody was more like, I love the future stuff, but I want to fuck more with what's happening now. And then the previous Call of Duty games wasn't cutting it because it was all, you know, past old world wars, you know, old style shootings and whatnot. So when Modern Warfare came with the actual shootings and actual style, that's where everybody like, oh my God, this is awesome. And I think I feel like they did such a perfect game in the first Call of Duty Modern Warfare that they raised the bar so high that they try so hard to top it that it shot short on any of them. Like Modern Warfare 2 was probably the closest. I would say Black Ops 1 and 2 got there too. Yeah, I can agree with World War, Black Ops 3 and 4, and the Modern Warfare 3, Ghost. Personally, I love Ghost. I don't know why everybody hates Ghost, but I can see why. But
I don't know why you like it, but that's fine.
we could discuss it. I mean, the only reason I love Ghost, it's because of the extinction. That's it.
I guess. Yeah, that's fun. That's fun.
Like compared to the zombie levels that we get from Black Ops or the War at Wars, like extinction was probably something new to me. That was like, holy shit, I'm actually fighting fucking aliens. I'm not shooting zombies. They're less
It's
annoying.
funny though, because you said you're not super into the sci-fi stuff, but then you like that. So that's like an interesting correlation there. But I agree with you though. I feel as though COD 4 might have been the first modern shooter.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't World War II and it wasn't, 2098 or whatever it is. I don't know. But it was tangible, right? Because it was realistic. You could see yourself actually being in these sort of environments. And then obviously it was a fictitious story, but it still replicated real world tensions between, the US and the Arabs and the Russians and different things like that. So it's like you could see those sorts of events. And I didn't care about any of this when I was younger, but you could still see something like that unfolding in the real world. Like, it's realistic. And to Modern Warfare 2's credit, Modern Warfare 2, I would say, did everything that Call of Duty 4 did, but better. But the problem is that there were so many things that were broken about the game that I feel like it's just knocked down a peg for me. Like, for instance, the one-man army noob tubing. That was something that should have just never existed in the game. And even to this day, they never fixed it. It's something that could have been patched, but they never decided to. That once people discovered that almost just entirely ruined that game forever. But then, like, the just sheer amount of game-breaking glitches, I actually really loved about Modern Warfare 2 that they went with this game design philosophy of everything is overpowered. Well, like, every single gun in that game is like bonkers. Like, there's like maybe 2 guns in that game that are like almost unusable because everything else's power level is so far through the roof. But I think that's what makes it fun, right? It's super high octane. And then when you have like the Harriers and the chopper gunners and the AC-130s, it's just like this nonstop adrenaline rush that, again, Call of Duty 4 introduced kill streaks and it was just 3-5-7. It was pretty straightforward. But then in this game, it's like, oh man, a little helicopter. How about a chopper gunner? How about an AC-130? You know, it's just nuke. Like, right. How about a nuke? Like, it just takes it over the top. So they took what was great about COD and made it even better, I felt. But I feel like there were so many things that went wrong with the game that for me, it's still a fantastic game and it's like super, super close. It's like this, but it's just a nudge under for me. Even and again, like COD 4 isn't perfect either. Like, there's plenty of flaws with that game, but for whatever reason, I feel like it's just a more well-rounded game because it just in totality, it's just better.
Can you name like a few of the things that you did not like about Modern Warfare 2 that you thought they could have improved?
Like I said, one-man army noob tubing, that should never have existed. They should have just patched one-man army to either only work one time or make it so that one-man army takes up your like, you can't use a noob tube and one-man army simultaneously. There's multiple ways they could have done it. They just never cared to do it. But that was just atrocious. There were so many just different types of glitches. I remember there was like glitches to spawn infinite care packages and emergency airdrops, which I'm not saying I didn't exploit or anything while they were allowed, but it was ridiculous, right? And it's just these super random memories that we have. Like, I remember like when I was just exploiting the emergency airdrop glitch, there'd be times where I felt bad for the enemy team that were just stomping them. I'm like, I'm going to throw you guys a few airdrops. You guys can have some packages to make it even, just to make it even more chaotic. So that was fun. There was the commando, the knifing perk. That perk was just disgusting. Like, that should not have been anywhere nearly as powerful as it was. I hate it. Yeah, I hate it to my core. Death streaks, I think, conceptually aren't a bad idea, but I think like Painkiller as an example is awful. Painkiller should never have existed. Final Stand is probably more infuriating than Painkiller, I think. So that's another one. I think Copycat as a death streak is actually fine because it allows you to access like high tier gear if you're a low level. So I think that's actually pretty cool. Yeah. And what was Martyrdom was the third one. I hated Martyrdom in COD 4. That's, going back to where COD 4 sucks. But but Martyrdom was almost like a skill test, right? Because when you were really bad at the game, Martyrdom was a problem. But once you got really good at it, Martyrdom was never an issue because you knew how to play around it and you knew how to just be able to like dodge it so you didn't get hit. And sometimes there's like still nothing you could do. But they made it a death streak in Modern Warfare 2 and frag grenades in that game sucked anyway. So most of the time, like, it didn't even matter. But still, just conceptually, I didn't like death streaks. I felt like they were fine, but they should have been done differently. Like, again, Copycat, I think, was good. The other ones, I think, were just way too powerful to award you something for like doing poorly. Obviously, I'm not a fan of that type of mechanic. And then what else? Like I said, there was just plenty of glitches that were just so abusable in the game. And it seems like every time a glitch got patched, there were like 3 more that got discovered. And you just had to suffer through those exploits until they got patched. And it just sucked. It was just terrible. So yeah, it is what it is. And I feel like games nowadays like overbalance and like overpatch, but obviously it's different. Like when the game is like not functional. right? When people are like exploiting things, that's different than like a balance patch. I don't think that's the same thing.
You know that for Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, it's actually it was probably the first time that I played multiplayer.
Okay.
Overall. Because I was never into a multiplayer. And to be fair, at that time, I didn't have anybody around me that was very geeky like me or have people to go play multiplayer.
Sure.
I have my cousins, but you know, I lived in Puerto Rico, they lived here, and you know, sometimes our hours are probably a little bit the same, and sometimes there aren't, and they got stuff and I got nothing, and you know. So I just basically enjoyed the campaigns of all these games, and Modern Warfare 2 was probably the first time I did multiplayer, just, you know, to see what's up. And then from there on, I just started to play any other multiplayer game that I can on the PlayStation. What are your thoughts on all these campaign games from the Call of Duty franchise?
They're fine. I was never really I actually really I really liked Call of Duty 4's campaign. Just my baby. So That's probably why. The later iterations of Modern Warfare campaigns were actually kind of whatever. I didn't really care for them too much. The Black Ops ones were actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I thought like Black Ops 1's campaign, especially just because it was based off of Cold War stuff, I thought it was actually really well done. I think Treyarch just in general is a better development team for storytelling. At least they used to be. So they just I typically never cared about the campaign unless it was a Treyarch game, mostly.
Really?
Yeah, I was a big like achievement whore back in the day. So I would play it just to get all the achievements. But aside, I just like would not care about anything they were talking about.
Okay, that's fair enough. What about the other games? Have you been very competitive with Gears?
No, funny enough, we did do a tournament for Gears one time. Gears is so clunky. That's what I don't think I like about it competitively. Like you're basically having to, like, if you're not a pro at wall bouncing and doing all these like super advanced techniques, it's very difficult. Like the skill gap to be good in Gears is actually very great, I feel. And obviously if you practice it, you can get better at it. But I never really enjoyed Gears from like a competitive standpoint. Like I always like playing it just like casual multiplayer and like with friends, but never like super hardcore competitive because I just could not do what these crazy actions that some of these people could do when they're just like bouncing and sliding all over the map. Like they're just like out of their minds. It's just like nuts. Right. Horde mode though. Horde mode was
insane.
Horde mode with friends and you just have like some beers and you know just some like pizza or something like that's memories right there. I think for my friend's birthday when Gears of War 2 had just come out, we stayed up all night. There was like 8 of us and we were like rotating controllers because you can only play like 4 people at a time. We stayed up all night trying to beat all 50 waves of Horde for the first time. And we all suck at this point. Like this is like only like I think 3 of us had played Gears 1. And so like you could just imagine how bad this was. And so like it was like 4 a.m. and we beat the final wave, the 50th wave of Horde. And we all just screamed at the top of our lungs. We're like, we did it! God, it was a blast.
Fun memories. You know, when you used to go to your friend's house and then just play video games all the way till 4 or 5 a.m. And you're like, oh my God, it's almost morning. No, it is morning.
Yeah.
Those are the good old days, man. I love them, man. What other Xbox games that you say that you fairly remember that you're like, oh, you enjoyed it very much?
Oh, man. There's probably a few. I'd have to think back. I'm a huge Final Fantasy person. That obviously is more in the PlayStation domain. But, I mean, they had 13 on Xbox and all the 13. I mean, and like 13 was like whatever. It was okay. So that was one. And I'm just going to pull up my old like Xbox account and just look because like it's been so long. I don't even remember.
Then it was that long. You haven't played an Xbox game? What?
That was shocker, right?
Cimoooooooo, former pro player, you know?
Yeah. From pro player to no player.
Did you ever enjoy the remake of Modern Warfare?
Oh, the remake of COD 4?
Yeah, like with the newer graphics that was released 2 years ago.
I was super excited for it because it was just supposed to be revitalized, like updated graphics, because COD 4 was released in 2007, I think, maybe 2006. It's like ancient at this point.
Yeah, it was like 7 or 8 or something like that.
Yeah. So I was super excited for it, but then they started, unfortunately, tarnishing it by adding in microtransactions and adding in like DLC guns. And that really ruined it for me, because I felt that it wasn't the same game anymore. They just changed it into something else. And obviously it was just a cash grab, which sucks. I actually think they initially said they weren't going to do microtransactions for it, but then they, doubled back and obviously changed their mind when they realized how much money they could make. So it's unfortunate. I do like the better graphics, because I think the graphics of the maps and everything are how I envisioned the game would look, or how I imagine it looking when I was, 14 or 17, however old I was back then. So I'm like, oh, this is so cool, because they had like actual smoke effects that worked and different things like that. Right. Just different particle effects and better lighting in some of the areas and such. It just wasn't the same. It was like scratch the itch. If I wanted to play it, it just wasn't the same. There's like this gritty, dirty look to COD 4 that I really appreciate. And I feel like only if you've played both games, you understand what I mean. I don't know what it is. It seems like the newer one's like too polished.
Honestly, I only bought the game for the campaign, because I'm a campaign-driven player. Like I could care less about, multiplayer right now. At this point,
right.
I don't play multiplayer. I don't care much. I just like to play a game and enjoy the story and enjoy the fighting,
Sure.
So when I played the Modern Warfare, I was like, you know what? I love this story, And somehow it's just like it circles back to the original.
Right.
It just somehow just like connects from whatever happened here to the original. And then I can say like, oh shit, if you guys are making a Modern Warfare 2 with this graphics, then I'm ready. I'm ready to get Soap. I'm ready to get Roach. I'm ready to get Ghost. I'm ready to get everybody. Yes, let's go. So are you ever been a campaign-driven person?
Yeah, like Halo's campaign. Like, I mean, I loved Halo's campaign as much as I did the multiplayer. I mean, and I'm like you, I'm not super into sci-fi related lore at all. I think it's incredibly boring, but Halo was actually a lot of fun. And I think they still did it in a way that it wasn't too intangible. And I'm not sure how they did it, but for whatever reason, like I really did appreciate the Halo story and everything. Some games, I mean, yeah, like I love like, other RP. I finally got into my Xbox account, by the way. I played other games like a lot of just RPGs like Elder Scrolls Oblivion and Skyrim. Like, oh God, I went deep on those games. Yeah, those were good. I also like playing games that just piss me off, like Super Meat Boy. Those are also fun.
You know what's a pissed off game for me? Any sports game.
I was just never really into sports games. I guess I always felt I'd rather just play the sport in real life than play the sports game.
I mean, do you want to play football in real life?
I mean, I did for a very short period of time. I've played like every sport for a short or long period of time to some degree. So, I mean, I'd rather just play like flag football with my friends at the park or something than play like virtual football if I was going to. I hate football, but I mean, if we're going down that route.
I don't know what is it with those, and funny enough, it all relates to EA. Like,
yeah, maybe because I hate EA. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, maybe that's why, because Need for Speed's from EA, right?
I do not know.
Hold on, let me fact check that right now. Hold on. I got it right here on my computer. Yeah, it's Electronic Arts.
Oh, okay.
That's why I hate it so much.
Everyone's listening to this like, no duh, it's EA. And I'm just like, I'm a boomer. I don't know these things anymore.
Yeah, guys, take it easy on us, when it comes to these games, all right?
Yeah, we're old.
Yeah, we're relatively old. Well, I don't know how old are you, but I'm in my 30s right now.
I'm late 20s, so I'm almost there with you.
Oh, it's okay. You'll be fine, man. 30's the new 20, so they say.
Fair. So Resident Evil 4 specifically. Yeah. I was super into that.
Absolutely.
Resident Evil 4 might be in like top 5 games of all time. That game is like almost a masterpiece of how well that game is designed.
And you know what? Let's circle back again to what I told you. Like that Activision put a high pedestal on COG for that. The rest of the other CODs didn't quite match up to it, or were relatively close. I felt like Resident Evil 4 was the same with Capcom. Like Capcom put R4 so high that it fell short with 5, 6, and any other one, you know?
Right. 5 was actually pretty good. I think people give a lot of flack to 5, but it was just a different 4. I felt like it pretty much did a lot of the things that 4 did, just differently. It allowed you to play it co-op, which is something you couldn't do with RE4, which is something I appreciated because, you know, you could actually play it with friends. That was fun.
Yeah.
But just something about RE, I don't know what it is. Again, it's just a lot of the game design mechanics were so unique. I loved how your inventory was a briefcase and you could expand the briefcase and you had to like make your items fit in the briefcase. Something about that I just fell in love with. I don't know what it was. And also just like the weapon upgrade system as well, just how you could upgrade the capacity, the firepower, just whatever with each of the weapons. And again, RE5 and the later ones also do that. But it was so cool. It was something that really, not even just that genre, but a lot of genres hadn't really done at that point.
I agree.
So, yeah.
The only problem, I loved RE5. The only problem I felt with RE5 is that you took away the RE element, which is the scary factor.
Right. It was more of like an action game than like a horror game. Right. I agree with that.
I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy it, but there was like too much of the action, too much of the puzzling, and not enough of the scary. Like, yes, you got me some scary ass monsters, but you got to remember, you got to go back to what RE4 did, which there were times in which I jump out of my seat because holy shit, where the hell did this big ass guy come from? Where the Kraken came from out of nowhere? And
that game was like horrifying too. You know, like like some of the stuff in RE4 was just creepy and just disgustingly creepy, which is good. Like it had this character to it. And I agree with you. I kind of felt like in RE5 it lost a lot of that. And it felt like I was playing Mission Impossible movie, but in a Resident Evil game. That's kind of what it felt like the whole time.
No. You know what was a Mission Impossible movie? RE6.
Oh, yeah. I remember when I went to Comic-Con and I got to play RE6 like before like most people did. Oh. And I'm like, this game is not fun. I'm like, this game is not fun at all. And anyone who's a big RE fan might just completely like castrate me. I did not think that game. I waited like 30 minutes in line to play that. I'm like, oh, this will be cool. And I came out of that 15 minutes later, like, damn, that sucked. I was so disappointed. I had all this stuff from it. They gave you like all this like crap to take home. Oh. I think I sold it all on eBay as soon as I got back. Damn. And I was just like, this is not good. I mean, it's fine, but I just did not like it at all.
Nah, you know what? I get what they were trying to go, but I feel like they were trying to do the same thing as RE5 and try to do this whole crazy shit of movie style game in which like you got like 5 different stories. You got to complete one because it has a different ending, or at the end it's like it all makes sense. That's a lot of crap, bro. That's a lot of crap to follow, and then it's gonna get to a point in which you get bored. By the time you finish one character story and you get to the second character, you'll be like, and then everything else has just felt like more action-packed driven than it was scary driven, you know. And again, the monsters, they were dope, they were there, but again, which part was I supposed to get scared, you know?
Right. Yeah, I agree. Just quickly scrolling through here. I'm actually like, or I was, because I haven't really played them anymore. I'm actually super big into like rhythm games, like Guitar Hero, Step Mania specific. Low key, I am like a god at Step Mania. I just haven't played it in eternity. Mainly because the laptop I used to play it on died. And so I haven't been able to find the file. Obviously, I could just download Step Mania, but there's a specific like file type for it that's the only way I'll play it. And I can't find it anymore. And I'm just lazy and I haven't found it yet. I also don't know if they make it for Mac. That's another thing I have to figure out. Oh. But If I ever, I mean, I could run it on Windows and it'd just be just fine. But yeah, that was the heyday. I was kind of into fighting games, like Street Fighter, Soul. I actually really like Soul Calibur a lot. I think I like the 3-dimension aspect of it because like I kind of think in 3-dimension, so I could really like understand like how to move in a space like that. Street Fighter was kind of in the genre of games that pissed me off. That's why I played them.
Yep.
That game is just so infuriating. Yeah. And I anyone who plays Street Fighter to any sort of like competitive level or like even just like is any bit better than garbage, like I appreciate you so much because I do not know how you can like do these functions on these controllers at this like with these incredible timing. Like I can't do that. Like I'm good at rhythm games and I can't do that. So kudos to those people. They deserve awards. I appreciate watching those games all the time, like when Evo and stuff are going on. But no, I can't play them.
They definitely piss me off the most, especially when, you know, once they got you, it's like no matter how much you try to push any other buttons or joystick, you can't get out. It's like you're already right in their combos and you're done for. You're like, that's it. This is where you die. So yeah, I can relate to that. But I did, you know what? I did enjoy the Naruto games.
I never played those. I heard they're good though.
I have all of them, like from the first Ultimate Ninja that came from the PlayStation 2 all the way to the recent one. Or like Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. And I believe if you were to play Naruto, you will play Ultimate Ninja Storms. You will play it because their fighting style is like Soul Calibur. It's all 3D and you know, it's not like 2D. It's like you go around and then you start strategically try to see how do I approach you, because there's times in which, all right, let me approach you very quickly. But if you do, I can actually pull a move that can actually trap you in that point, and then I got you on my combo. So they're very actually good. If you ever had a chance, play the Ultimate Ninja Storms. I believe you can play them on that spots as well.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. And so then the only other ones that I saw from just diving through the achievement lists were BioShock. Woo! BioShock was a lot of fun. I never played Infinite. I think I played like the first 30 minutes of it, but I actually didn't like it because I actually missed the sort of like dystopian underwater part of it. I've heard Infinite's amazing though, so maybe I just needed to give it time, but I just never got past the first like section of it at all.
Honestly, I love more the first and the second.
The first and the second one are great. Those are great. And they're so unique too. Like no game has really ventured into that sort of like territory before. It's just so many sort of unique weapons and just the way that the game just works. I thought it was just like a really, really solid game. What else? Assassin's Creed. I was super into Assassin's Creed. I love Ubisoft to death, but that they have to end that franchise. I'm sorry. Like
they have to kill it because it got to the point that
it's the Call of Duty problem now, where it's like the first one was great. The second one was amazing. Assassin's Creed 2 was like a masterpiece of a game. That game is so good.
I agree.
Brotherhood was fine. It was basically just like
it was right there. You know,
it was like the sequel to 2. Yeah, to 2. But it was basically like here's Assassin's Creed 2, essentially. That's what Brotherhood was. And then after that, it started really going downhill. And I don't know what it is. Like Assassin's Creed 3, I just could not get into it to save my life. And the same thing with all the ones after. It's just like
really.
Yeah, I couldn't. The pirates, I just couldn't. I wasn't feeling it. Yeah, just the first one and the second one, I felt like were really good. And I don't know what it is about. Maybe I just got older. I don't know. And maybe I felt like 1 and 2 had closure because they weren't exactly, they were open world, but they were closed open world where the worlds weren't like that vast. And when you start getting to like 3 was like super open world. Yeah. And then we started going down the paradigm of every game franchise trying to be open world if they could. And there was something wrong with that, but I think I was just getting older and I was running out of time in life, to like play these games. Yeah. So I think it was almost daunting to start one of these games knowing that I couldn't really like experience all of it. So I just like, I just never really liked the settings of any of them either. I really enjoyed like, medieval, like Italian Renaissance. I thought that was fantastic. Even like the first one as well. What was the Was Brotherhood the one that was in like the Ottoman Empire?
Brotherhood was after the second one. That's where the Borgia Empire came along.
Which one am I thinking? There's Revelations.
Revelations.
Revelations was good. Revelations was the last good one. I knew I was skipping one.
I like Revelations to the fact that they could have closed Revelations right there and closed the story altogether, because they closed the Altair story and they closed the Desmond story, and you ended up as the master assassin. Like, that's what you were trained for many years,
I also like Assassin's Creed 2 because you basically fist fight the Pope, and I just think that's really funny. Like, what kind of game can you do that? So that's fun. And then Devil May Cry, that's in the category of games that piss me off.
What?
Devil May Cry 4, that game just infuriates me for how hard it is. I love it, but it's just, oh man, that game pisses me off so much. I never played. What?
How is that so hard?
No, it's like when you're playing on like the harder difficulties. That's what I'm talking about.
Jesus, if you're playing like Heaven on Earth or Heaven on Hell.
No, I'm talking about that. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
Dante Must Die mode, yeah.
Right. It sort of has like the fighting game problem, I feel like, where you have to be very technical with like your moves, and that's fine. Like, I prefer that over an actual fighting game. But again, just like that game just pisses me off when it's like when you're playing on the hardest difficulty, just trying to do anything. That game is just, oh man. I never played 5, and I actually, if there is a reason to go back to play on Xbox, I've heard so many good things about 5 that I actually would go back to maybe play it one day.
I will tell you what, I'm a huge Devil May Cry fan. Like, I got Virgil up there, like in one of the Virgil statue right there up there, along with my other toys with Sephiroth and Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Gundams and whatnot, just to name a few. I played the whole franchise, and I can safely say Devil May Cry 3 is probably my favorite one. It's the best one that's there. And
sure, I'd say most people would say that too.
And 5 goes second to 3. 5 is a phenomenal game. Like, the storyline, how it basically answers all the questions that everybody was always wondering.
Sure.
So they left it that close. They end the saga with the two brothers, and now it's like all the way with Nero. I mean, they did a fantastic job with Nero on this one. Like, Nero in the Devil May Cry 4, I can tell you, yeah, he was like a little bitch. Get it! So he was less cry and more Dante-like style. Like, he was like, "Hey, what's up, Cupcake? Your ass smells so bad, man. You should take a look at that. Give those snarky comments to these demons, and these demons, they just get pissed off." So the whole storyline itself is just good. It's overall good. The only thing I will say why I didn't put 5 up top of 3 is because there's one player that's the third player called V. I'm not gonna spoil you who V is.
I'm aware of him, from the little I've seen about the game.
Yeah, so the only thing that takes me away from that is because of the game mechanics of V. Like, you're literally not like fighting fast paced like you were with Dante and Nero. You're just basically letting your demons fight for you, do the dirty work for you.
Sure.
So like, it's kind of weird the fact that you're so used to this fast-paced, killing style and subjectives and shit, whatnot. Then when you get to V, you're like, I just came from this, like, shit, okay, let me adjust to this again. And it becomes a back and forth like that crazy. And I was like, man, I didn't like that. Like, they could have done way better with this character. But
sure,
I can understand why they give that character later on the story. I'm not doing any spoilers, but he's a very important character that we all thought like, wow, okay.
Sure.
So Devil May Cry, yeah, I highly recommend you. Now there's a special edition that you can actually get, and you get to play Virgil.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And Virgil in high def graphics, like,
that's got to be awesome.
Bro, Resident Evil used an RE engine for 7, remake of 2, remake of 3, and the new one that's coming 8. They actually took the RE engine from Resident Evil to Devil May Cry, and it's just like, my God, it's beautiful. Like, the graphics are gorgeous, and all the characters look like Like you guys did a great job with the franchise, at least, because it was like an up and down, but they did good. So I highly recommend you play 5 special edition, whatever you get a chance to.
Okay.
Also, if you haven't played any of the Resident Evil games, the like 7, the 2 and 3, I highly recommend you play. Because because obviously after the disappointment of 6, I was like, all right, I don't know what, I don't know what to think of. Then PT came. Remember PT?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously everybody's like, holy crap, Silent Hill, Kojima, Guillermo del Toro. And boy, that demo was shitless. And then our good friends of Konami did what Konami does.
Of course.
Fire Kojima.
They put him on the ban list.
They put it on the ban list and no PT. And that's where Capcom capitalized the moment and put RE7. And boy, did I tell you, it took me back to the original RE games.
Yeah.
The one with the castle and the puzzles and then the scare jumps and shit and whatnot. The knowing fear fact that there's gonna be somebody behind you nonstop chasing you, that pisses me off. Especially on game 2, on the remake of game 2, the fucking tyrant, every fucking corner, he's right there and I can't escape. And I have to all right, he's right here. I have to go to the other side of the building to get away. All right, he's gone. Now I can continue doing. Let me do a little bit more of the tour. All right, I did something. What the fuck? Why are you doing here? Shit, now I gotta do this again. And then, but I can tell you this. Play the Resident Evil games, the latest ones. You're gonna have a great time, man. You're gonna love it. It's gonna give you that old Resident Evil vibes at one more.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, so I think if I went back to Xbox, I'd probably play DMC5. I'd play that. I'd probably play Cuphead, because that's just like another Super Meat Boy game designed to piss me off. So I'd probably have to play Cuphead.
Sure. Why
and
not?
I never played Final Fantasy 15 either, which I've heard. Boy, I have a story with that game. Oh man.
Look. Final Fantasy 15 is a great game. I'm not gonna say it's the greatest game of all. It's a great game. The problem to it's I guess by like you and me, it takes too much time of ourselves for our daily lives to focus on this one game. It's
right.
It's a 40-hour play game. Like I don't have the luxury to play 40 hours of a game. And especially if I'm not that hooked into it, like I want to play it. I want to play it so bad, but I feel like I'm being forced to play this, then I'm not going to enjoy it. I'm just going to have you
Yeah. Man, I remember when they first announced that game. I actually have like the first magazine where they debuted it, and it was called Final Fantasy 13 Versus. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. And so this magazine is from like 2006 when they first debuted it. And I was so hyped for this.
Yeah.
And then the next year came, 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 and then the next year came. And then guess what? It finally got released as Final Fantasy 15 after 10 years or something. And at that point, I just gave up. I'm just like, I never thought that game was going to come to light anyway. And even when it did, I just didn't care anymore. That's like the ultimate like buzzkill ever.
Yeah, I can agree to you on that, because I feel that's what killed me. It's the many years of anticipation of waiting to get to this game, and finally I got it. And it was like, really? I waited 10 years for this? Like, yeah, I could have played this 10 years and I'll be happy. Now it's just like, eh. And I can tell you the problem to 15, the director Nomura, he was also the director of Kingdom Hearts 3.
And okay, so funny you say that. That's another thing I'd have to go back and play, because that game suffered the same problem. Yeah, right. Is that it was so hyped, and then when people played it, they're like, nah, And it's like, I think if the games came out on a timely schedule, then they probably would have been over the top, right? But I think just so much time passed between when they were first announced and when they actually got released that everyone was just like, this is what we waited for all this time.
I'm not gonna lie. I went to Disney World in Orlando to play the demo. And for some reason, when we played the demo, we were so hyped and we played it and it was awesome that we had to do it again. When we played the actual game, it's like, And I feel like one of the reasons it's because Nomura was doing 2 projects at the same time. Well, actually 3 because he was actually doing Final Fantasy VII Remake at that time as well.
Right.
So he had like 3 fucking different projects. I knew one of them or all of them was gonna fail. Thank God the remake of Final Fantasy VII didn't fail. It's brilliant. It's an amazing game.
Another thing I need to play. The list is getting longer.
A great nostalgic game, and once you play it, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing, you know? But yeah, the problem to Kingdom Hearts, the franchise itself, is that they wanted to capitalize on the mobile side games. Like they want to throw the Nintendo version, the PSP version, the 64, like whatever other versions. Like, and we're like, dude, you started with PlayStation. If all these side games, you could have done it in the PlayStation. Well, they actually did when they did the remasters.
Yeah.
But still, I feel like all those stories on those mobile games, you could have actually put that effort and put it into an actual good game, whatever, good lengthy, and then continue the franchise all the way until you get to the number 3 that you'll be like, all right, cool. You know, it was right there.
Or if they just axed all those games, Kingdom Hearts 3 could have come out 10 years earlier. So
that's another
just saying.
one.
Yeah.
But
Kingdom Hearts 2 is a fantastic game, though. That game was really good.
Oof.
Very, very well designed game.
You played the 2.5 version of it?
Probably not. I think I just played the original.
Just like the Sonic Adventure games, extra content. And there's like that extra content that there's times in which like you didn't understand at a certain point a story from the 2. That extra content is like right there. It's just like, oh, so that makes sense now. Okay, now I understand why this is happening, you know? Or this guy's backstory is like this, you know? Kingdom Hearts. I don't know where the franchise is going, but I don't like the direction that's going. Because